It's story hour in Mitchell's Plain, Cape Town.
Now what else?
I don't know what else you want Mommy to read. Open.
Janine van Rooij-Overmeyer is treating her daughter 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃 to poems in her rich mother tongue from a collection of her own writing.
My een kind weet nie wie sy pa nie. Hy bly kwaad, ek wil nie eens vra nie. Want ek soek ook replacements en antwoorde vir die pa wat ek nie ken nie, ek wil nie praat nie. Ek droom, eendag sal ek het maak. Die man van my drome sal hier kom pak.
Famous as Black Pearl, the gifted author and songwriter joined a group of hip-hop artists and activists for Cape Vernacular Afrikaans in staging a musical in 2010. They staked a claim, calling it Afrikaaps, and set in motion a movement to demand recognition and dignity for the brand of Afrikaans widely spoken in the Western Cape.
Dat niemand vir jou sê die Duitse praat is verkeerd of is nie goed genoeg nie. You know, and that's the way we were raised, to believe that the way I speak Afrikaans isn't good enough, you know, and the impact that has on you who speaks a different type of Afrikaans that is not what they call standardized Afrikaans. It makes you feel like you're less, you know.
It caught on quickly, and now the expressive dialect birthed on the Cape Flats is forever Afrikaaps, from its root Afrikaans and die Kaap, its home. But there's a delicious double meaning in there.
So you coined the phrase Afrikaaps, right? Where does it come from? What does it mean to you?
To cap something means to hijack it.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, you're copying my lyrics.
You're copying it, my bro. As much as there's a history of Afrikaans, now we actually taking the whole language, but we're taking it back now, the language itself.
It's a language and a movement. Linguist activists like hip-hop artist 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, also known as 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, are unshackling the language one richly descriptive word at a time, and with it, an entire people.
Why is Afrikaans so important? To me, it's because it's so beautiful. The people who speak it, it's so vibrant. For the longest time, we haven't told our story through our language.
Afrikaaps is taking center stage in a new trilingual dictionary with English, Afrikaans and Afrikaaps, a language that was long overlooked as marginal, even though it's intrinsic to Cape Town culture, is now getting all the recognition it deserves.
My actual favorite word, because every Sunday I look forward to it, is 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃. The proper way of speaking this language is 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, and you spell it like that when actually people say 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃.
And then haalihaa?
Haalihaa is
Hawaiian for hello.
Okay.
Haalihaa!
This is our version of oh my word or oh my gosh.
Aware?
Yeah, always hello, right?
Aware is like when you agree with something.
Yes.
Aware is like saying correct. Is this going to be a dope interview? Is everybody going to watch this?
Aware.
My favorite words is away. Kwai. Kwai means great, amazing, cool.
University of Cape Town's film and media studies expert Prof. Adam Haupt says it was the hip-hop movement that thrust Afrikaaps into the limelight.
In order to understand what hip-hop artists were doing with validating black voices, in this case, what prophets of the city in the 90s would have called 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, what scholars now call Kaaps. What they were doing was to validate the languages that people in working class spaces were speaking. And so not to feel shame and apologize, like apologies for my home-based Afrikaans. And that, of course, that references the history of slavery.
Kaaps preceded the standardized form of Afrikaans, originating as a non-white Creole language under early colonialism, the tongue of slaves and workers. Its roots are Malay, Indonesian, Portuguese, and the indigenous San and 𝗀𝗁𝗀𝗃𝗃. Eina, for one, a 𝗀𝗁𝗀𝗃 word, and an apt one to describe the apartheid government's forced removal of disenfranchised coloured workers to the Cape Flats. Najun Damon teaches visitors to the Iziko slave lodge the social history.
So even in the slave lodge, we had this version of Afrikaans that was spoken, which was this broken mixture of Dutch and all the various dialects and language that were introduced by the enslaved who were forced to live within the space.
The 𝗀𝗏𝗆 Mosque here in 𝗀𝗏𝗃 in Cape Town is recognized as the first mosque established in the country. Afrikaans was first taught here in madaris or Islamic schools, and the language was written in Arabic.
When they read it back in that pidgin Afrikaans, pidgin Dutch, but it was written in the Arabic script.
We went to UCT and we found out that the first Afrikaans that was written was in Arabic, you know. And you're like, huh? What is this? Like, why is this information not taught to us in school?
Afrikaans became an official language from 1925 and progressively a tool of racial oppression. Standardized through translations of the Bible and dictionaries, not even those who loved Afrikaans could save it from its darkest hours under apartheid.
They decided that their version would be the official version that would be acceptable, and all the other dialects wouldn't be acceptable. And Afrikaaps was one of those dialects that was not acceptable, even though it was obviously one of the groups that was spoken the most in Cape Town.
Afrikaaps is not slang, Afrikaaps is not broken. Afrikaaps is not a lesser version of anything spoken. It's rich in history, it's diverse in structure, it's the linguistic identity of an entire culture.
An architect Beck is a poet, directly translated, a mouth architect. Black Pearl and 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀 are two of those who contributed words for the Afrikaaps dictionary.
I felt so proud, and immediately I made the change physically. Ik zal praten die way ik praat. Niemand gaat voor mij niks zeggen, niemand gaat voor mij laat junk voelen. Ik ga niet praten zoals ik praat, tijd met je leven. Vat het zoals het is, you know.
Afrikaaps now even has its own rags, the clothing brand that trades on and promotes the best of Afrikaaps expressions.
So they can see there's a level of, oh, I can actually say this now in public, or it's actually been on ads, or it's been on social media. And the more and more people start to use it, the more acceptable it becomes. And that people know it's not gang-related, it's not negative, it's just an expression of who we are.
What the dictionary has given is people a way to be their authentic selves. And as the well-known brand 𝗀𝗵𝗆𝗃 says, they say you mustn't dream, you must just dala.
I asked 𝗀𝗃 for a couple of pointers while walking the streets of Cape Town.
The most obvious one is where they ask you, bro, what the size draad, say? He's gonna take your shoes.
Your shoes are good. And you're like, oh no, actually I'm a size 9, bro.
Professor Adam Haupt and the team have collated around 100,000 words to date, and they say it'll take at least 3 years for the Afrikaaps dictionary to get into print.
Here's a resource by leading scholars. You may use it. This is a language, so when kids in your classroom speak in a particular way, you can point to something and use it as your guide, as a reference point. And you can bring people together.
Everything that's been done right now is almost to bring Afrikaaps onto the same level as Afrikaans. And maybe the two actually join and move together into the sunset. Who knows?
Lekker, my bro, man. Lekker.
Lekker, man.